I'm writing this down because I've started repeating myself out loud. Not on purpose. I'll say the same sentence twice, sometimes 3 times, before I realize I've already said it. It's usually something small, things like, I already checked that door, or there's no one else here. That second one is never true. My name is Evan Miller. I was hired as a temporary night supervisor for a public middle school in rural Pennsylvania. The job description was vague on purpose. Overnight presence, it said. Security and observation. No teaching, no students. Just me and an empty building. The school had closed 3 months earlier due to renovations. That's the word they used. Renovations can take months, sometimes years, sometimes forever, if the building doesn't want to be opened again. I arrived on a Monday night just before 7 p.m. The sun was already low, bleeding orange light through the tall classroom windows. From the outside, the school looked normal. Too normal. The flag was still raised. The parking lot lights were on. A few classroom lights were glowing on the second floor. That bothered me more than if everything had been dark. Inside, the air smelled like cleaning chemicals layered over something older. Paper, dust, the faint, stale smell of lunches that never fully left the walls. My footsteps echoed too loudly, even though the floor was carpeted. I signed in at the front office. The logbook already had my name written on the next line. That should have been impossible. I hadn't been here before. I checked the date next to my name. It was today's date. The handwriting matched the rest of the book, neat and careful, like whoever wrote it wanted it to look official. I told myself it was a clerical mistake. I told myself that a lot that night. At 7:32 p.m., the first bell rang. Not the loud dismissal bell, the softer one. The one used to signal the start of a class period. It rang once, then stopped. The sound didn't echo. It felt absorbed by the walls. I stood very still and listened. Nothing. No voices, no footsteps, no lockers, just the hum of the lights. I checked my radio, static. I tried my phone, no service. The building blocked it, I assumed. Thick walls do that. At 8 p.m., the bell rang again. Longer this time. I started walking the halls. Classroom doors were closed, just like they're supposed to be. Name plates still hung beside each room. Teachers' names. Some of them were crossed out with black marker, some weren't. Room 214 was lit. I stopped outside it and listened. There was a sound coming from inside. Not talking, not movement, breathing. Many breaths. Slow. In sync. I opened the door. The classroom was full. Desks occupied, chairs straight, backpacks under tables. About 20 students sat perfectly still, facing the front chalkboard. Their eyes were open, every single one of them. None of them blinked. I cleared my throat. The sound felt wrong in that room, like noise wasn't supposed to exist there. A girl in the front row raised her hand. "You're late," she said. I checked my watch. It had stopped at exactly 7:32 p.m. The bell rang again, and every student turned to look at me at the same time. No one moved after they turned to look at me. That was the first thing I noticed. Not that they were staring, not that they were silent, but that none of them shifted in their seats. Not even a little. Their breathing stayed slow and synchronized, like the room itself was breathing through them. I stood in the doorway longer than I meant to, my hand still on the door handle, because some part of me expected the moment to reset if I didn't step inside, like I could still undo it. "You can sit anywhere," the girl said. Her voice was flat, not bored, not angry, just complete. Like the sentence had already been said before, many times, and she was tired of repeating it. "I'm not your teacher," I said. Several students tilted their heads at the same time. "That's okay," a boy in the second row said. "We don't have one anymore." I backed out of the room and shut the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't run. I closed it carefully, the way you do when you don't want to draw attention to yourself. As soon as the door clicked shut, the breathing stopped. The hallway felt colder. I walked faster, past classrooms, past bulletin boards still covered in faded announcements. Field trips that had already happened. Science fairs that never got packed up. The bell rang again. I checked my watch out of habit. Still 7:32 p.m. I reached the main office and tried the front doors. Locked. Not jammed, not stuck. Locked. I checked the side exits. Same thing. The crash bars didn't move. The doors didn't even rattle. It felt like pressing against a wall that only looked like a door. I went back to the front desk and looked at the logbook again. My name was written multiple times now. Same handwriting, same neat spacing, different dates. I flipped through the pages. Every night shift, every inspection, every temporary assignment. Different names, some crossed out, some circled, some underlined so hard the pen tore through the paper. The bell rang, longer. I heard footsteps this time. Not running, not shuffling, walking, measured. A group of students passed the end of the hallway. Older ones, high school age maybe. Their faces looked wrong, too still, too practiced. One of them glanced at me as they passed. "Don't skip," he said. "They notice." "Who?" I asked. He smiled without stopping. "Attendance." The word echoed. Attendance. At 9 p.m., the intercom crackled to life. "Teachers," a voice said, distorted but calm. "Please report." I covered my ears. The voice continued anyway. "Students, return to your assigned rooms." Doors opened all around me. Classrooms that had been dark were suddenly full. Chairs scraped softly. Papers rustled. Someone coughed. I realized something then. The sounds weren't random. They were scheduled. I don't remember deciding to go upstairs. I just did. The staircase lights flickered as I climbed. Each step creaked under my weight, louder than it should have been, like the building wanted to count how many steps I took. Second floor, more classrooms, older ones, the kind with chalkboards instead of whiteboards. Room numbers scratched into metal plates instead of printed signs. Room 214 was here too. That shouldn't have been possible. I opened the door. Same students, same desks, same girl in the front row. She smiled this time. "You came back," she said. "I didn't leave," I replied. She nodded slowly. "That's how it starts." I asked her how long they'd been there. She thought about it. "We don't measure time the same anymore," she said. "We measure days by who gets called." "Called where?" She pointed to the door. A student stood up from the back row, a boy with tired eyes and a backpack that looked too heavy. "It's my turn," he said quietly. The class didn't react. He walked past me and into the hallway. I followed. The hallway stretched longer than it had before. Lockers repeated, posters repeated. I passed the same water fountain 3 times. At the end of the hall was the gym. The lights were on inside. Rows of chairs filled the floor. Hundreds of students sat facing the stage. Names were being read aloud. Each time a name was called, a student stood and walked backstage. They didn't come back. I found my name on a clipboard near the stage. Written in pencil, easy to erase. A hand rested on my shoulder. "You're not scheduled yet," the voice said. "But you will be." It was the same voice from the intercom. I turned. There was no one there. The bell rang. Short, sharp, dismissal. The students stood. They didn't leave. They just waited. I woke up in my car just before dawn. The school was dark, boarded up, condemned signs posted on every door. My phone buzzed. A notification. Attendance submitted successfully. I don't work nights anymore, but sometimes when I'm half asleep, I hear the bell. And sometimes I answer it.